looking very, very relaxed, which is always a good start to one of our chats. Joining us this morning is one of Surrey's finest, Mr. Rikki Clarke. Rikki, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. I suppose normally at this time of the year, when you're a professional cricketer, it is kind of feet up time, and you sort of recover from a long season before thinking about getting on the bike and doing winter training and all the rest of it. But I guess that's no longer a factor in your life, is it?
No, it's actually quite nice. I've got my feet up at the moment as well. So, yeah, normally I think over the years we've sort of gone back early November as a squad with Surrey and stuff. So, yeah, come November time, I'll be seeing the lads going in and all the Instagrams and stuff of their training. And I'll be, feet up and just relaxing with a cup of tea in my hand.
Was there anyone that was really, who were the keenest ones to get back into training? I know that some players dread it, but others are super keen. Who are the ones in your experience that really love all that kind of stuff?
Oh, there's been a few over the years. Scott Borthwick, when he was at Surrey, he was always keen. So, a lot of the time you see lads just rocking up early November, having had their feet up and stuff, where literally the first week of October, you see Scott Borthwick going out for a run or in the gym and stuff and really looking after himself. Mark Stoneman was similar. I've got a few guys really. I think, sort of younger generation are used to it and ticking over. But when I first started, it was rock up 1st of April, played a couple of games of football and away you go. So over the years, it's definitely changed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because over your career, the game has changed a hell of a lot. And I think people's lifestyles in general away from cricket and sport, certainly when I was young, going to the gym wasn't really a massive thing, and certainly not being careful about what you ate. And like you say, you turn up in April, do a couple of laps of the pitch, maybe see if you could touch your toes, and then off you went. But very different these days, and the youngsters, like you say, different.
It is massively different. It's definitely over the years, I'd say, got more professional. As I said, 1st of April, we were rocking up and it was actually a couple of laps of the Kennington AstroTurf. If it was raining, a few games of football on there. You'd come in, have a few nets, indoors or outdoors, depending on the weather. And it literally was 2-3 weeks later, away you go. Now, obviously, guys are in November, training up until Christmas, have Christmas off, and then training after that. And then after games during the summer, you're stuck with a protein shake in your face rather than a nice cold beer.
Has that influenced your decision? I mean, there's a few guys that have retired this year, and obviously there's a few guys retire every year, but I was going to ask later on maybe about, whether COVID has made a bit of a decision for you. But is it just a case of, what, I don't want to do all that anymore. I like playing cricket, but I can't be bothered with the rest of it.
Yeah, I think the cricket side of it, not a problem. If you ask me to run in and bowl, stand at slip, do all the fielding, the batting, the cricket element of it, not a problem. I think it's just, I had an opportunity to go into a new job at a school, and I just felt that with my age, I wasn't going to be signing a 2-3 year deal, and I was always going to be on that sort of treadmill of it's just a year, just a year, just a year. Could I have gone till, say, a Darren Stevens age 45, 46? Probably not. Could I have gone another couple of years? Definitely. But I just felt that there was an opportunity for me to make that transition with a job ready and waiting. And I didn't want to say go another year and then say next October, the eyes are gone or the body shut down or form, fails you. And then you're looking at something else to go into when you had a perfect job there ready and waiting.
They say, don't they? It's always better to retire when people are saying, why is he retiring? Rather than why isn't he retiring?
Yeah, I think that's quite a nice sort of thing. Like the messages, like everyone keeps on saying one more year and stuff like that. So it's quite nice from that sense of things. But I feel that this is the right time. And as we said before, come November, I'll be feet up and not on a treadmill.
Are you straight into this new job with term starting again?
Yeah, so it's actually worked out quite nicely. I spoke to the school. I'm going to be starting on Monday. Sort of ease myself in for a week and then a couple of weeks off for half term. So, yeah, I've sort of planned it quite nicely, and they're quite happy with that as well.
So let's wind it back. You were prominent in cricket from a very young age. Was it 9 years old? You were part of the Surrey setup?
Yeah, so it all sort of started a local club called Godalming. Been playing under 16s, under 17s, third 11s, that sort of stuff from a very young age. And they put me forward for a Nescafe course, which was sponsored, the Surrey sort of youth setup at the time. Went on a 10-week course, managed to get a player of that course, and that got you a Surrey trial at under 9. And then basically from there, under 9 all the way up till obviously signing my professional contract. So from a very early age.
And it was like a sort of a rocket trajectory as well, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't just Surrey. Before you knew it, you were pulling on the England shirt as well.
Yeah, it was. I think at the time I'd only played something like 9 first-class matches, a handful of List A. And then next thing you know, I think the end of 2002 season, I was on a plane to Sri Lanka for the ICC Champions Trophy with the likes of Alex Stewart, Nasser Hussain, Nick Knight, walking in the hotel, and you had Ricky Ponting and Sachin Tendulkar and Shane Warne, and I was like, what am I doing here, sort of thing. So it was obviously a massive sort of rise. Did it come too soon, people ask? Probably a little bit. Didn't really know my game, didn't really understand my game. I was just that sort of young, fresh face, and when you're young, you have no sort of fear of failure. You just go out and play. And next thing you know, I found myself, as I said, on that plane.
I saw you an interview you did recently where you were talking about that period of your life, and you were just talking about the impact that different coaches were having on what you were doing and trying to affect your style. And I still see that quite a lot, particularly my son who plays with different teams and is getting different advice on how to bowl or run ups, etc. That seemed to be the case with you at that time of your life as well, was it?
Oh, massively. I think from that age, I had obviously a batting coach and a bowling coach and a head coach at Surrey. I was part of the England Academy, where I had a batting coach, bowling coach, and a sort of head coach in Rob Marsh. Then you go up to England and you got a batting coach, bowling coach. You had so many different coaches. And I think what's good a little bit, I think as time has gone on during my career, the coaches actually talk a lot more now. What are you working on with him? What are you looking to do? What technique do you want him with the bat? What all these sort of things of trying to get someone better. So they talk a lot more now. Back then they didn't. So I was sort of like, if we talk about my bowling, I had a certain run up and action. Then that would be going well. Then I'll go to another sort of camp with the academy, and it'd be like, oh, you look a little bit short there. Try and lengthen out your arms a little bit more, and try and have this sort of run up, and be flatter through the crease when I've been trying to get high in the crease. So it was always sort of like difficult, because the one thing you want to do when you're young is you want to learn and you want to listen. If you don't listen, you then get that sort of tag of, oh, he thinks he knows it all, this youngster, he's not willing to learn. So you almost sort of listen and do the things that the coaches want you to do, but sometimes it's detriment to what is actually your game. And I think over the years, I've sort of learned that you have a certain way of batting, a certain way of bowling, stick to it, just make it better. Just make it better. And that's how, hopefully, when I go into coaching and my school job, I'm going to see that everyone's different and everyone's unique, but how can you have their styles and make it better rather than changing them completely?
I think also youngsters, teenagers also, in my experience, seem to be quite sensitive to criticism and how they're being coached. I think that needs to be factored in as well.
Oh, massively. Yeah. You see it now. It's just one of those things where you've got to be careful with how you talk to people nowadays and stuff. And it's basically just getting across what you want to get across, but what works for them as well and what they're happy with. I've always been a big believer that sometimes try stuff, and if it doesn't work, then you can bin it, but you can't bin it before you tried it, because there might be something there that actually works for your game.
All you got to do is show them a video of Jasprit Bumrah running into bowl, surely. It's different styles for everyone.
But this is the thing, I'm a big believer that over the years, in English cricket, we wouldn't have had a Malinga, we wouldn't have had a Lara or a Chanderpaul or a Bumrah. Yeah, we
Rory
wouldn't have
Burns.
Rory Burns. He sort of that's a good thing with Burnsy though, because he sort of looked at it and goes, you know what, this is how I bat. This works for me. Over the years of getting into England side, I think he went 1,000 runs in first class cricket 4 years in a row. And that's the thing. I think what's been good there is he's had a method and he stuck to it because he knows that it works for him. But I think over the years we would never have had, you know, the likes of the guys I've mentioned come through, because they would have probably been coached out of it.
Yeah. Is it still fun playing cricket?
Yeah, love it. Wasn't too much fun on my last game when you're in the field for 177 overs on
an
absolute flat
bit of a road
played on. Yeah.
Had you made your decision by then?
Yes, I had, and I think it just sort of confirmed that my decision was the right one.
Have you got any particular standout moments that when you sat here in your chair and looking back, are there any particular moments that stand out?
I think always my debut in first class cricket for Surrey is always going to be there. My England debuts, and the trophies you win. I've been fortunate enough to be part of sides that have won trophies over the years. The photos you get from those memories, the players that you play with and against, that's all going to be sort of very special for me going forward, and something that I hope I can show the grandkids.
Now you're on the back of a testimonial year. Have you still got any events planned, or are we still sort of at the back end of it?
No, so we've still got some events planned. I think we've got a big one on the 9th of December, which is going to be our Christmas bash, which is going to be at the Oval. So we're looking forward to that. And then a few other little events in between there as well.
You got any big names coming along, or any star attractions?
Potentially, but can't sort of say that at this moment in time.
What's your benefit website? We can put it across we can tell our listeners and viewers what it is.
Yeah, so it's clarke2021.co.uk.
Brilliant. I mean, I know they are a lot of hard work, and it's not as easy as a lot of people think. Are you supporting any charities with your testimonial?
Yes, so Cure Leukemia and the Professional Cricketers Trust. When I was at Warwickshire, managed to get to Queen Elizabeth Hospital quite a lot, where Dr. Charlie Craddock does some amazing research and work with leukemia patients there. So used to go up to the hospital and see the patients and just sit and listen to them and have a good old chat and just be a support network really for them during what is obviously a terrible time for them with the blood cancer. And then the Professional Cricketers Trust is basically for cricketers past and present that fall on hard times, and then hopefully raising some decent funds there to help cricketers past and present in their hour of need.
Are you going to be turning out for the PCA Masters at all?
Hopefully, yeah. I've had a couple of offers already, but unfortunately during the season, sort of with how COVID was at the time, it was one of those sort of difficult things to be allowed to just slide off and play a game there. But definitely in the future, hopefully I can get involved and play for them.
Hopefully we'll see you at Brentwood in end of July. So maybe school will have broken up by then, and you can come down and show us what you got.
Well, I was originally born in Essex, so I got all family down there, so I could kill two birds with one stone.
Perfect.
Yeah. We had one of your old Warwickshire muckers on last week. Someone else that's announced their retirement, and Varun Chopra, who was with you at Warwickshire.
Yep, absolute hero of a guy. He was at first slip, I was at second slip, captained me for a period of time as well. I think during 2014 when Jim Trout was injured, but really close mate of mine. Whenever we were playing Essex or he was up at the Oval, we'd regularly go out for dinner and that. So, I wish him all the best in his retirement, because serious player. One of the best players, in my opinion, that I've ever seen play the short ball.
Wow.
So every time we used to do the team meetings and it would come up with right chopra, I used to say to people, whatever you do, don't bowl short. So he sort of knew that there was going to be no short ball, so we'd be targeting his pads.
You don't mind playing against Essex. I remember that game 2018 where was it 8 wickets you picked up in that match in the championship winning year for Surrey?
Oh, down at Chelmsford, yeah. Yeah. I've got to speak to Burnsy about that because I had 4 and he pulled me off, and then I had 4 the next day and he pulled me off again. I was like, you gonna let me try and get 5 for here, or? So, no, but yeah, I remember that. I've always enjoyed sort of going down to Essex. Not so much in the T20, quite a hostile atmosphere, but it was all fun and games, and enjoyed it.
And this academy that you've got going now as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so basically, when I got contacted by the school about the job there, they sort of gave me the idea of, why wouldn't you set up your own sort of cricket academy and you can run it through the school? And I was like, that's a pretty good idea, actually. I grabbed it off the director of sport there and set it up during lockdown, really. Was it about a year or so ago? It was just a case of setting it up to basically give back to the game, boys and girls, one-to-ones, summer camps, half-term camps, and we've just launched our elite academy as well for the boys and girls that really want to sort of push for those sort of county trials in their age group. So we're 3 weeks into that at this moment in time. Just had one last night. The first one I could actually go to last night, obviously because of other commitments. And we've got some very talented cricketers on that. So it's all very exciting.
Red ball cricket's massively under the microscope at the moment. And we're still waiting as we speak to hear about whether the Ashes is going to go ahead or not. And if it does, what strength squad we're going to send. And looking at how England have been over the summer, there's been this huge debate about county cricket being marginalised and it's hurting England. You got any thoughts on that or the strength of the red ball game?
I think it's difficult. I've always been a big believer that you have to have red ball county cricket as strong as it can be. And I think that is where wickets need to be, obviously not as flat as the last game at Oval, but they need to be sort of close to what you get at test level. So the bowlers understand what they need to do and they can't just run in on a green seamer and get wickets. The batters then have to bat long periods of time and not feel they have to throw their hands at stuff because one's got their name on it. And then also bringing spin into play towards the back end of games as well. So I find it quite difficult because the paying customer and the member and the supporter wants to see as much cricket as possible. I'm a big believer that actually if you've got sort of potentially less games, you're going to have a better quality of cricket. You've got sides playing for something a lot more. Just looking at the obviously the 3 divisions this year, if you look at Division 1, I think there was 4 sides that could have won it. That's a sort of standard of cricket and entertainment that you want, where all guys and all sides are fighting for something. I think over the years we've seen, particularly in Division 2, if you've lost your first couple and there's a couple of sides running away with it, the other sort of 7, 6 sides are just not really playing for anything. So what they do is they gear up for their one-day competition and trying to win a trophy there, which is totally understandable because they know they can't get promotion into Division 1. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what format they go in the future. But I do think you've got to keep as many games competitive as possible. And also the fact as well that, I hear a lot, there's no pace in county cricket. I promise you there is. But sometimes it's difficult if you're asking someone to run in and bowl 90 miles an hour plus on a Thursday and he has Friday, Saturday off, and then on the Sunday he's bowling again because the games come so thick and fast. It's going to be quite difficult to back it up constantly and bowl that sort of pace. So I think you've got to give the county cricketers a lot of time to rest and recover and also train and prepare well.
What did you learn personally stepping up from county to international level? What was for you the biggest eye-openers?
I think it's just a case of your margin for error is so much smaller with the ball. You basically can't miss because batters will punish you. And then with the bat, you hardly get any balls, to pounce on. Very rarely do you get bad balls. And that's sort of continuous, during county cricket, there'd always be, okay, if we get through this spell of these 2, there might be someone else coming on and we can actually capitalise on him a little bit and put him under pressure. Where international level, you don't have that. You've got literally 4 or 5 bowlers constantly at you, so it's always quite difficult.
You're a big Spurs fan,
yeah.
So we should really have a little conversation about that.
Is that a West Ham fan down there?
Webby's a West Ham fan. I'm a Palace fan. So you've got nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go.
What's going on at Spurs? Are they going to? What's going to this season got for them?
I don't know. It's so frustrating. I've got a season ticket. I've not even been yet. That's how frustrated I am with them. It's a situation where I was a massive fan of Poch, and there was someone that said, that the biggest mistake Daniel Levy made was sacking Poch. I think the biggest mistake he actually made was not backing him, because he saw this coming, and he said it probably a good 4 or 5 years ago. This is what will happen, and he's called it absolutely right. So from my point of view, we're in that sort of tricky situation where we win a couple and then we lose a couple. It's just, I don't know, it's just disappointing. I was actually optimistic on the fact that I didn't have any sort of expectations for this year. And then we started really well. So I was like, that's the best way to go. And then obviously straight away, we lost to Palace 3-0, then Chelsea 3-0. And it's just the performances that have obviously been disappointing. And now that I think, again, one of our managers is favourite to get the sack with the bookies. So it's quite tough being Spurs.
Still above Arsenal, though.
Only just, yeah. They had a massive squad photo, didn't they? There's been branding around a massive squad photo of all the management and staff and everything. It was a "We're above Tottenham for once" photo, I think they called it. It lasted about 6 days.
And you leave Surrey in very rude health. I was looking around there the other night. I was down there where my son was training, and wandering around the Oval. It was a bizarre thing, pitch black, and wandering around just nipping up onto the stands. And I mean, it's quite, with that new development of next to the pavilion. What do they call it? This
Oval Square.
One Oval Square. And I can remember the first time I went to the Oval was my dad took me in 1980 to watch England West Indies, and it always strikes me how different it is now to what it was then. That it was a much bigger pit. It's the playing area to me that seems to be the biggest difference. It was massive. But I mean, now it's incredible.
Yeah. So back then, I remember, I can't remember what year, but I went to watch New Zealand, England, and you had the old Vauxhall end. It was just like a
Honda stand.
Little stand with a roof, you probably get like in non-league football, which is like that, really. And then now you've got this amazing new OCS stand, and brilliant views up there. And obviously the development now with One Oval Square, where on that top roof bar, it's amazing. The views up there are fantastic, not only down onto the pitch, but across London as well. So you got to say they do it really well there and do it right.
And a fantastic squad of players as well. And there's a good mix of experience and youth. And I think also importantly, sort of the middle band is quite strong now as well. And you've got people like CJ's come back, and our old friend Reece Topley, who's born again since all of his injury problems. It does look to be, I would imagine Surrey will be pushing hard next year.
They should be. If you look at the squad that we've got, I say we've got, but I'm a fan as well. It's that sort of mix, as you say, of youth and experience. And I think that's always the key, that you want your younger guys learning from your experienced guys, but also at the same point, your experienced guys can learn from the younger guys as well. Jamie Smith, from my point of view, will be a name that you should definitely look out for in the future with England. What a cricketer he is, by the way. And Paul will like this as well. He's a West Ham fan. That's the only problem he's got, is he's a West Ham fan. Season ticket holder there, I think he is as well. So, but what
sounds like a good lad.
But what a cricketer. And you got so many decent guys coming through. Gus Atkinson will be a really good all-rounder. Struggled a little bit with injuries the last couple of years, but again, got pace. An action that repeats itself, can whack a cricket ball, good fielder. So again, having looked at Surrey when I was away at Warwickshire, they've always got amazing talents. Can they sort of make it work and put all those pieces together as a unit to win the trophies that they should be winning, really.
You've got a really solid old boys network there as well. At Essex, we've got, the Graham Gooches, Ackfields, Fletchers, but at Surrey, similarly, with Alex Stewart, sort of director of cricket, but people like Butch, Ramps. I think that's important to have those kind of characters around the club, just to, to give a bit of gravitas and an encouragement to the younger guys that are on the pitch.
Well, I think you look at it from my point of view, it's people that understand the club and what the club is about. And that's so important, because when you have the younger guys coming through, they would have had that through the youth system and sort of ingrained into them. But then it's important that when you go into that professional dressing room, that it's exactly the same values that you need. And then the guys that come in from other counties, they need to know what Surrey's about, what it means to wear the brown cap and the three feathers, and why you're actually doing it. Because fundamentally, I'm a big believer that, the badge on the front is always going to be there longer than the name on the back. So how can you, with the name on the back, be the guy that actually leaves the club in a better place when you either move on or, in my case, retire?
I quite like that. The badge on the front is longer there than the name on the back.
Yeah,
that's very All Blacks, that is, isn't it?
I think I got it from Graham Roberts, old Spurs captain. I think I got it from him.
I reckon he got it from the All Blacks. That's all they've always said. Leave the shirt in. I'm
going to go and scroll out of the Rikki dressing room. There's a few people there need to understand that.
Is there? Sorry, did you have a cap presentation? Does that go down to county level as well as the international stuff?
Yes. So we've had that sort of brought in over the last sort of few years, where when you make your debut and stuff, you get a on a cap, and then everyone, when you're out on the field ready for warm up, someone will say a few words and present you with a cap. It's quite difficult to do sometimes, when you're warming up and then you get a little tap. Can you say a few words? You're like, oh, I haven't prepared anything. So it's all off the top of the head. But no, normally it's quite easy to do those sort of things, because you're basically giving the person that's making a debut loads of confidence and letting them know that they've got the backing, and the reason they're here is because they're good. And then just letting them know how important it is, as I just mentioned, to wear the three feathers and the responsibilities that come with it.
Right. We will let you get on, because I'm sure you've got homework to mark and other stuff like that. Just before you go, Rikki, just remind us again what your benefit website is, please.
It is clarke2021.co.uk. So yeah, all the sort of information there. I've got a wonderful committee involved. Barry Kitcherside, who's been a part of Surrey for many years. He's my chairman. A Crystal Palace fan. I think he's a board of directors at Crystal Palace as well. So we've got a couple of good links there. So yeah, but he's been fantastic in basically organising everything for my testimonial and putting these events up, and hopefully have a lot of fun attending them.
Yeah, it's a good point, and very important to mention your chairman and your committee, because they get very upset if you don't give them a minute. And it is a lot of hard work. I know firsthand just how much goes into these things. So yeah, we'll do our best to make sure that you get all the support that we can offer. Before you go, obviously I mentioned earlier that music is a big part of this show as well. So we would like from you, please, a musical request of anything of your choice.
I'll tell you what I'm going to go for, and it's weird. So a few years back, my dad went to watch Chris Eubank fight at Tottenham, and Chris Eubank always used to come out to "Simply the Best" from Tina Turner. And I was watching the boxing the other night, and I don't know why this is just coming to my head. I'm going to go for that. Tina Turner, "Simply the Best." I reckon people might, have the old foot tap or something in the car and stuff, listening to it.
Excellent, John. Yeah, I remember when he used to do that. And he used to leap over the rope, didn't he? Just for the right moment of the song.
Little sort of wiggle and stuff, and yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. All right, Rikki. Many thanks for giving up your time and talking to us. It's been great fun, and all the best with the testimonial. I hope it all goes well and you raise lots of money. And we shall be looking forward to catching up with you in the near future.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.